Hello, everybody, and welcome to Our Promise Live. I'm the Our Promise Senior Director, Tabitha Angel, and today I'm so excited to introduce an admirable leader among all of our state leaders, Kathleen Webb, Chief Operating Officer at the California State Controller's Office. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Tabitha. It is really nice to see you again, and so glad to be part of this conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. For many years, you have been an Our Promise champion through your service and leadership within the state. And I know you have a passion for nonprofits through your experiences and with your Girl Scout experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to, because I think often people wonder, well, Kathleen, why are you so passionate about this? So let me tell you, it began as a girl member of the Girl Scouts back when I was in second grade, and I remained active in the Girl Scouts through high school, which sometimes wasn't the cool thing to do, but I always tell people I was part of a really cool Girl Scout trip or a Girl Scout troop, and we did camping and backpacking and lots of fun, cool things. But I think, the lessons I learned through Girl Scouting really coupled also with my parents' strong commitment to volunteerism. They really modeled the way. And there was 5 of us growing up, and they were involved with all of our kind of youth activities and volunteering time. So I saw also the importance of volunteerism. And so, you and I were talking earlier too, is after I graduated from Cal, my second job actually after graduating from Cal was working with the San Francisco Bay Girl Scout Council. And there I was a field director, and I was responsible for recruitment of girls and leaders and volunteers. And one of the things I had to do was really go into a community that Girl Scouting was not common. It was San Pablo. And that is a very low income community. In fact, it still may be in parts of it, and really introduce a program that was pretty much not a program they were engaged with. And so really had the opportunity to work with some wonderful volunteers and other folks to really bring valuable, relevant Girl Scouting program to the San Pablo community, and really enjoyed doing that. So I learned the importance of these types of programs and the value they bring to our communities. And so as an adult, not only did I work for the Girl Scouts, but I also volunteered for youth soccer programs and other youth leadership programs for most of my adult life. And then while I was living in Bakersfield at that time, working for State Farm Insurance, I had the opportunity to also join the Joshua Tree Girl Scout Council board. And there I remained with the board for 6 years, and it culminated in me serving as the president before moving to Sacramento. So again, and a little kind of fun story along with that is my mom was actually the board president for the San Francisco Bay Girl Scout Council at the same time I was the board president for the Joshua Tree Girl Scout Council. So that was a cool thing that talks about the importance of volunteerism just in my family as well. But, as the board president, I think what I always enjoyed and saw the value of it, again, from a much broader perspective, is the ability to work with other nonprofits in the greater Kern County area to really work together on important community needs. And that was really a lot of fun, whether it's faith-based organizations, other youth organizations, and joining forces, because you can't solve it as one nonprofit. You really have to come together and really recognize your expertise and bring those resources together. And then my other favorite thing was celebrating the accomplishments, the amazing accomplishments of our girl members and our volunteers. So I really, again, it's kind of my passion area, to say the least.
Yes, and all the things you just said, I'm like, do you want to come work for us? But it truly, you hit the nail on the head, but and wow, I'd be so proud to be part of your family, to volunteer with 5 children. Like, I always tell people I'm not able to volunteer because I feel like I'm in the busy phase of my life with 2 young girls working, all of the commitments. So, my treasure to donate my money is a little easier than time, but I'm hoping as I get older and my kids get older that we could definitely do more volunteerism, because I don't think there's anything quite as valuable as volunteering your time that, gives back to the community and where you work and where you live, and just seeing that what your time can do for someone and what it can do for a nonprofit is truly valuable. So I really appreciate you talking about that and saying that. And what's really important is that the nonprofits that work together, working for United Way, we really see that as a huge passion project of ours, that why we are one united way and we maybe are a larger nonprofit organization, we are only part of a community that we can't do it alone without our nonprofit partners. And I think that truly, says that, everybody provides a little something different. Not one nonprofit can provide it all. And there's so many needs out there in the community that people, need. And there's so many different types of resources that all of these different nonprofits really do come together to support that.
Yeah.
And how important that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so with, this being such a passion of yours and you've worked, can I ask how long you've been a state employee?
Since 2006.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So quite a few years. And, you've always been a really huge supporter of the campaign, whatever department you may have been at in the past. And we're always really grateful for that. But, what would you say the key is to engaging state departments for our promise?
That's a great question. And I think I've learned, over my time in different departments, the importance of really thinking about your message, but also what we do to model the way as leaders. And so, one of the things I fundamentally believe, and it's part of, my purpose of engagement, is I do believe our communities are made stronger by our mutual commitment to give and share. We all have something to give and we all have something to share and we all have something to gain from all of that. We all have amazing gifts to bring to the table, as any good community or any good village does together. But I also believe, to the point you made, is it can be done with your time, it could be done through money, or it could be done through both. I think there are ways for all of us to contribute in the ways that we're capable of at that point in time. I think the other thing that's amazing about being a California public servant is our ability to serve beyond the borders of our missions. We are already our public servants and we already have outstanding missions, but what a gift we have to go ahead and serve beyond our missions, and really that giving opportunity to model the way for others in support of our community. So, we are public servants, and I think that's an honor to be a public servant. But in that, we also recognize, to the point you made, it takes a full community. It's not just the work we do as public servants for our departments. It's the nonprofits, the CBOs out there. It's the private sector also being involved with it. It takes all of us and individuals. And so I think key to engagement as well that I've learned is that, as with most activities, it really begins with our leadership and really being the embodiment of both purpose and passion behind what we do. And while, the Our Promise campaign is a statewide initiative and we've been doing it every year, you don't want it to just be something we do every year. It's let's stand up, let's rise up, let's really kind of model the way, and really, as a leader, share your personal why for giving back through Our Promise campaign, and really lead by example as well.
Definitely. And you definitely talked about, there's many ways to give. So, fundraising sometimes is not always fun. I always tell people it's difficult and can be challenging. And, it can be hard to ask for money, especially in these times where things are a little more difficult. Everything costs more money. Things are happening left and right that we didn't expect to happen. So financially, it can be a little tough. But, you said, reaching beyond those, measures and, thinking about outside of your public service, and I think that really helped state employees over the past year recognize that, there are many needs out there and a lot of people have needed resources more than ever. And there's ways to give back. There's talent, which a lot of people forget. We call it the 3 T's, but time, treasure, and talent. We like to say in fundraising, but talent is also a super important piece, whether that's you can mentor someone professionally or personally. Mentorship is really important through talent, through a lot of nonprofits need. And for example, if you're handy and you can build things, a lot of people need that type of resource as well. Or maybe your technology skills are really great and you can help somebody with their technology skills. So I think, those 3 different T's are really important. I always tell people, of course, I'd love your dollars to raise for all of these nonprofits, but those other 2 T's are just as important. So time, being really important if you can volunteer your time. And we're really lucky that we have the Chief Service Officer of California Volunteers, Josh Friday, as our co-chair, and he understands the importance of, volunteerism and how all the work he's doing for California volunteers.
Mhm.
But also, treasure, the great thing about our campaign is it's as little as $5 a month, which is really 17 cents a day when you break
Right?
it down. And I always tell people there's not much you can do for 17 cents a day, but when you add it up and that's $5 a month, that's actually doing a lot for nonprofits and giving a lot back to these nonprofits that need us.
Yeah.
Also, leadership, it's probably the most important thing in our campaign, and we see it have the most impact in our campaign. And state controller's office is no shortfalling of that, with Controller Betty always being an amazing supporter of it. And she talks about how she personally gives and what her passion is. And I think that's really helpful. And that really helps engage her fellow colleagues and her employees about talking about that. And then now you being there, we're so excited to have you over there and your passion for nonprofits. But we do see that the departments that are most successful in our Promise campaign usually have the most amount of leadership participating as well. And their leaders are behind them. Their leaders are engaged and really passionate about giving back. And so with that being said, and talking about the key to engagement, would you have any advice for maybe those departments that aren't seeing the success, besides leadership? Are there anything else, pieces of advice you would give?
Yeah, we've experimented with the departments I've been at. We've experimented through different campaigns, and a couple of things that I found that are really critical. As a leader of the organization, you need to be visible. You need to be a visible sponsor with your departments, our Promise campaign chairs, and key connectors. I think that's really critical. I know for myself with the DMV, I regularly met with my co-chairs, and when I could be involved with the key connectors training session, I would open it up if I was available to open up. I think that's really important, sending that message out. And again, I always remind people is when something is on your leadership's radar, it's going to be on other people's radar as well. So make sure people know it's on your radar, you're paying attention to this, and you care about it. I think the other piece that's really important, you hit upon some of this, is raising awareness on all the ways that we can contribute that connects with passion areas for your staff. We all have our different passion areas, and I don't ever want to take away that some of my staff are already giving in ways, maybe not through our Promise campaign, but giving. So you don't want to make sure that anybody feels guilty about not giving, but give them the opportunity, to your point, at $5 a month, give them the opportunity to find ways to commit. Because I bet there's some other passion areas. And the examples I would give you, all the youth programs that are out there, all the senior programs that are out there. You raised up, homelessness is such a huge issue right now. And there's so many ways to contribute to community-based organizations that are supporting those needs. Animals, if you're an animal lover, there's so many great animal organizations, health and wellness organizations, environmental organizations. To your point, Habitat for Humanity, if you're handy with a hammer, Habitat for Humanity is a great fit for you. But you really need to message the power behind giving what you can does really make a difference. And I think that's the message that I really rely on too from our partners, our nonprofit partners, to really convey how that little bit grows and compounds and actually is able to go so far.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about that and what your dollar buys. Like we have a one-page document, because a lot of people say, Tabitha, my $5 or $60 a year, that's not going to do anything for a nonprofit. And what they don't realize is that, $5 may purchase a meal for, somewhere at Sack Loaves and Fishes, and $50 may, provide clothing for an entire family and things like that. And people, until they kind of physically see it or visually see it and see, okay, that's what my dollar can buy. Okay, maybe I really can make a difference. And that's where, it's really not that much at the end of the day, but the impact of that goes so far and with so many different types of nonprofits. And I always tell people, you can't tell me there's not one nonprofit you can't find that you're, passionate about, because it just covers so many, and a lot of people don't realize how many different types of nonprofits are out there. I always tell people our booklet, it only has 1,800, and I know that seems like a lot, but there are hundreds and thousands of nonprofits in the country who are doing amazing work and doing all different types of work. And the true power behind the Our Promise campaign too is that maybe you're passionate about many different things, right? You could, I have a Great Dane, so I'm really passionate about Great Danes and dogs. But I also really am passionate about Alzheimer's Association. So there are different, this is what's really great about this campaign is that you can give to multiple nonprofits through your monthly deduction. For example, we had a gentleman, unfortunately, recently who has passed from Caltrans, and he designated to multiple organizations. And their employees reached out to us and said, "Hey, we'd really like to give back." And they were like, "We didn't realize he gives back to so many organizations." And like, "Well, can we just give direct?" And I'm like, "Well, of course you can, but that's the power of Our Promise too, is that he was able to do he did 10 different organizations. So he was able to give back to many different of his passions that, varied all across the board, and was able to do it through a single donation and be able to designate that out to whomever he wanted. And I think that's also, a really big impact, that you're not having to cut 10 different checks at the end of the year out to the many different nonprofits. And it's done now easier than ever through Cal Employee Connect, which, couldn't have been done without SCO. So I'm really, really grateful for the Controller's Office and your partnership. We're so excited. I'm so grateful for that platform that was created. And I mean, that what a platform to be created in this time and be able to be built for the entire state and all of its employees. I'm sure you guys are very proud of that program.
Yeah, that is certainly, that all took place before I joined, but that really is an amazing effort on the part of the staff here at the State Controller's Office. And really, COVID has inspired a lot of different changes we've made here in the state. And the timing, probably on one hand, couldn't have been better to really raise the bar and find a different way to engage our staff, and an easier way for people to go ahead and make their contributions and really track information about their just about themselves as an employee with the state of California.
Yeah, and it's such a, also saving the environment. I mean, we used to print 300,000 pieces of paper and pledge forms, and the Controller's Office used to print almost 300,000 pay warrants. I mean, that's a lot of paper that was being pushed through. So I think, it was a win-win on a lot of different sides. I know it took some convincing to some old habits never die, and that there are some employees who still love their paper pay warrants. My father being one of them, I had to convince him, like, "Dad, go on Cal Employee Connect. It's awesome. You can see everything. It's like this amazing platform."
True.
And so, I mean, it's truly great. And I'm grateful, for all the work that your staff has done over there, created something truly amazing, but also it created a safe and secure platform for us for the Our Promise campaign. And because we are, very confidential about our information and our donors, et cetera, but it created, a platform for us to live on for a couple months every year, so that employees could easily access it, could easily log on without having to punch in a bunch of personal information, such as a social security number. We got away from that. And I think that was really successful on both sides and really helped us. So I'm grateful for your partnership.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's I think we were always worried, as much as we love the program, the fact that you have that PII information floating around in a paper form. And so I think that information security component is so important. And you're right, Russ Fong and I have laughed amongst each other about how much paper both the state controller and the DMV would actually go through. And what a great measure, really embracing going green and just being more thoughtful about our environment.
And it just shows that, I know everybody has this perception of the state of California moves real slow in the way that they operate and do certain processes and procedures, but I also show that, I mean, what an amazing time to be a state employee and see all these major programs go through with such success. And, I know at DMV that was a huge deal as well. And you guys had many different programs and a very difficult, crazy time of things happening, but with great success of things changing. And you don't hear that word very often in state service. So I think it's an awesome time to watch state of California change and evolve and grow with the times. I'm excited to be here and watch it and be a part of it, and see state employees really embrace the change. But is there anything, I kind of want to wrap up, is there anything you'd like us to know about your participation in our promise, or anything else you'd like to add? You've added so much, but I didn't know if there's anything else that I missed.
Yeah, I would just add this. One of the things I was really excited to do before I left DMV to come to the state controller's office is really engaging our public-private partnership and our nonprofits in telling the story. And so one of the things I would encourage departments to do is have an open door to your nonprofits. And they're all now looking at creative ways, and they have their own YouTubes in various ways, virtual kind of information about it. But they are the ones that have the compelling stories, and they are the ones that can tell you why giving is so important, the difference that it makes. So, look to your folks in your IT shop to figure out how to bring them into your intranet site and make those resources available, because that's where your employees are going to as well. The other thing that I think is really important too is reaching out to your own workforce for their own testimonials on the importance of giving. So again, your nonprofit folks can really be a great partner in telling their story, but your staff are equally important in telling the story of the importance of giving, and reach out to them and get testimonials on why they give. And then most importantly, make it fun. Make this effort fun. Let's celebrate this period of time of giving. I mean, I always think that we should always be kind, and we should always think about giving, but this is really a special time that we come together as a state and do it together as a state. So celebrate that. And again, let's go ahead and really serve beyond the borders of our mission and give back to those who really need it.
That's very, very important. I always tell people I love to talk, and I can talk all day long and come into a presentation, but I always tell, who would you like to come present with me? Like, pick a couple nonprofits. I said, because their message is the most important message. I can talk about how important it is and why we need their dollars. I go, but to hear from them and to hear what they're missing and what they're doing with those dollars, especially in the now and the present of what is happening, that's what's really important. And we usually find that when employees share their story about who they're giving back, that their entire unit or division will eventually jump on board with them, essentially, because they've heard their colleague or they've heard their friends tell the story about why that nonprofit impacted their friend or their colleague, and they are like, okay, I'm gonna donate to them as well. So we always really encourage that, and you telling that as well as encouraging, and talking about leadership, sharing their passion as well, I think also helps that everybody has, I think, a reason to give back in some way or some form, and everybody has a passion, that there's something that they're passionate about. So those are all really, really important things to talk about. Thank you so much for being here today. We have one last thing to do, and it's the really important, fun thing to do, and it's to draw a name from our prize drawing. So we're gonna spin the wheel, our virtual wheel, and we're gonna see who our winner is.
Love the sound effects.
Anything can be done on the internet nowadays.
We have a winner. Congratulations, Olivia Williams of the Employment Development Department. She lists Daughters of Zion Enterprise as her favorite nonprofit.
So beyond, we will send you an email and go ahead and send you for your prize drawing. Kathleen, I can't thank you enough. I always feel like you always have open arms, and you're an open door to reach out to. And I just appreciate your leadership, and I appreciate your support more than you can know, really, honestly. I feel really grateful for your leadership and your support.
Tabitha, thank you. And thank you for all that you do every year with this effort. So Great to see you again.
Great to see you. Everybody be sure to join us next Tuesday. Next week, in honor of Veterans Day, we are going to be featuring one of our nonprofits, America's Homeless Veterans. So please stay tuned. Come and join us, and we will have another prize drawing with more names from the prize wheel. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.